Massive transformation often follows periods of extreme stress. That is because change becomes necessary. For me, that moment occurred as a teenager. After my first semester of playing college baseball, I found myself in a hospital room, diagnosed with what the doctors told me was an incurable autoimmune disease. My prognosis was poor, and there's a lot of uncertainty around my future. But I innately knew one thing. To get better, I had to change. What I soon found out was all the changes I would go through started at one place. They started between the ears. Change, whether it's physical or mental, starts in the mind. And that's what I'm here to talk about to you all today. When I was able to change my inputs, my thoughts, I changed my outputs. And the crazy part is I not only got my health back, I became healthier than I ever was before. What I'm sharing with you today has changed my life radically. Not only in my health, but in all areas of my life. I was forced to change through health, but I've taken the principles I've learned and transferred to other areas of my life and seen the same results. And I've had the privilege to help individuals and businesses around the world do the exact same thing. Regardless of what your goal is, the fastest way to get there is by thinking differently. But why is it so hard to think differently? Let's start there. So, what we are looking at is two neurons. And it's basically an image of a thought in a very simplistic form. Now, when you have a thought, one neuron sends a message to a different neuron, and it sends it through neurotransmitters as you see here. Now, what's really cool about our thoughts is our whole body is designed for efficiency. So over time, your neurons change. They get closer. When you have a repeated thought, the neurons get closer, so the neurotransmitters have less of a space to travel, making that thought a lot easier. And as time goes on, they get bigger, they get wider. You get more receptors, you get more channels, and eventually, you release more neurotransmitters. So you need less and less stimulus to create the same response, the same thought process. Our software, our mental thoughts, create our hardware, which is our neural connections. So let's look at this in a real-life example. Maybe you get anxious at work. Then you start to get anxious when you drive to work. Before long, you're anxious thinking about work. And before you know it, it's your identity. It's your personal truth. It's automatic. Now, here's the cool thing. We can do this with intention. Since our minds are neuroplastic, we can create new pathways with intention. Of course, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes repetition, it takes choosing better thoughts over and over again, even when the old thoughts try to creep back in, but it is possible. And when you change your thoughts, you change your brain. And when you change your brain, you change your life. So, we know the fastest way to get somewhere is thinking differently. And now we see how thoughts form. But you may be asking yourself, if my negative thought patterns are created over time and not God-given, then where are my negative thought patterns sourced from? Well, there's two main places. First is personal experiences. You take your past, you take your trauma, you take the good, you take the bad, everything in between, and you use it to predict the future. It feels logical, it feels safe, but here's why it's dangerous. Let's say I have my friend Fred, and Fred is in Antarctica, born and raised and has never left. At the age of 30, after living in Antarctica 30 years, he's come to know one truth. If you leave water outside at night in a cup, it's going to turn to ice every single night. Well, at 30 years old, he leaves Antarctica for the first time, and he finds himself in Costa Rica. Now, when he's in Costa Rica, he leaves his water out overnight. He wakes up the next morning and he's confused. The water is not ice, and a little bit of it actually looks like it disappeared. You see, we realize that temperature creates the structure of water because the environment plays a role. Well, with our personal experiences, the environment is often an overlooked variable and are really the driving factors of many of our experiences. It's important that we don't let our experiences mold our thoughts. We have to use our thoughts to mold new experiences. Your experiences aren't universal truths. They're just experiences. But if you let them, they'll hold you back way beyond their expiration date. The second is poor education, which can come from many sources. Parents, teachers, social media, podcasts, television, you name it. These are often spread through fear, uncertainty, or the justification of a belief. But they get passed down, and they get disguised as truth. And what you do is you take them in, you internalize them, you rationalize them, and over time, you find ways to support them and prove them to be correct. But just because someone else thinks something doesn't mean you have to. You have the power to question. You have the power to question every mental seed before it takes root in your mind. So, what is a truth we can build on? Well, the first truth we should build on is the universal truth of cause and effect. The understanding that inputs create outputs, and inputs equal outputs. So let's start with some easy examples. Math. 2x plus 10 equals 20. Y equals mx plus b. Both sides of the equation have to be the same. There's no if, ands, or buts. X cannot equal 20. If it did, you would have to change the right side of the equation. Same thing in chemistry and science. The products and reactants have to be the same. We know water can take many forms. My buddy could use this slide. But the amount of atoms have to be on the same of each side. Also in physics, when the 2 balls drop, what will we get in return? 2 balls. Every single time. We won't get 1, we won't get 3. The force creates the output. And this is true in all areas of life. It's true in your health, it's true in your business, it's true in your relationships, it's true in your spiritual life, and it's true in your thoughts. Inputs create outputs. And we innately know this. That's why we protect our kids. We protect them from the things they watch, the things they hear, the people they hang around. But what happens? You grow up. You stop guarding the gate. You scroll for hours. You listen to people who are living a life you don't want to live. And you replay past pain in your head over and over again. And you're hypnotizing yourself every single day with poor inputs. To create new outcomes, to change your outcomes, you have to create and fiercely protect your inputs. If I had accepted the beliefs I was told, the experiences I went through, or the perceived limitations I inherited, I wouldn't be standing here today. But I never stopped asking questions. I never stopped looking for the truth. You are not your pain. You are not your past. You are not your trauma. You are what you think. So think like your life depends on it. Thank you.